Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of Birds vs. Boys. If you are watching on YouTube and seeing our smiling faces, thank you for watching. Make sure you head back to the homepage, smash that subscribe button, like, share, and make sure you comment below on this video what you think. If you agree, if you disagree, we don't care. Just get in the comments. If you are listening to wherever you listen to podcasts, thank you for listening to our soothing voices as we get closer and closer to actual football. Aiden, how are you? I'll let you start because I'm happy we're getting close to football, but I'm also just, you'll see.
Oh, dude, I'm great, but we may have talked about this on the show. I can't remember. It's the time of year where you don't want to rush summer, but you're also like, there's college football this weekend, and I'm pretty excited about it. I was in Lexington last week, college football town, and when you're in like one of those college towns, you're like, man, I could just really watch a football game right now. That's how I feel. And then
drink
like
a cold beer.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just need a beer in a parking space right now or in a giant field, and I need 66-degree weather and kickoff. And that goes for college, and that absolutely goes for the Eagles and the Cowboys.
And I got completely like kind of kicked in the face with it this past weekend because I thought Notre Dame started. I thought it was like Labor Day weekend. And then I was looking at my phone. I'm like, I saw the date and I was doing the math. I was like, wait a second. That's like next weekend. That's Saturday.
Week 0, baby.
Oh, I can't wait. So hold on. This is the kind of episode I need right now.
Wow. Okay. I feel like a bit of a weakling right now. All I have is water.
I have not drank during an episode a long time, but I think that shows that we're getting close to football, that I need an alcoholic beverage and I'm getting close to the Cowboys. And this has nothing to do with this has nothing to do with the Sam Williams take issue. We'll get into that.
Well, he had a little more than alcohol.
Yeah. He had a weed pen.
I thought it was.
Yeah, come on. But we'll get into that. Jerry Jones needs to shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Flat out. I don't know if you saw Musa.
I did, but I want you to explain to the people.
So Jerry Jones announced today that he is putting DeMarcus Ware in the Ring of Honor. And listen, I have no qualms with that. DeMarcus Ware was a phenomenal player for the Dallas Cowboys. DeMarcus Ware just went into the Hall of Fame. I have a DeMarcus Ware jersey. I miss watching him play every Sunday. He deserves to be in the Ring of Honor. So don't misquote me. Don't first take me and just cut quotes up. DeMarcus Ware deserves and should be in the Ring of Honor. But for Jerry Jones to continuously act like a clown day after day, year after year, and not put Jimmy Johnson in the Hall of Fame and skirt around it, dance around it. Now he's saying that he wanted to put a player in and Jimmy's not a player. And that's why Jerry, what is Jerry Jones in, Aiden?
What is he in?
Yeah, he's in the NFL Hall of Fame, correct?
Yes.
Did he ever play in the NFL?
No.
Exactly. So I don't want to hear, like, wanted to put, dude, I have a couple more questions for you, Aiden.
Okay.
How many Super Bowls did Jimmy Johnson win for Jerry Jones as a coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
3?
2.
2.
He won 2, but how many Super Bowls are based around him? All 3, right?
Okay.
Those were the teams that he constructed. The only reason, Aiden, I know you were very young back then.
Oh, I was I was not alive. I want that on record. Yep.
The only reason Jimmy Johnson does not have 3 or more Super Bowls is because Jerry Jones fired him after winning his second Super Bowl because Jerry Jones wanted the credit. Jerry Jones was pissing and moaning that people were giving Jimmy Johnson all the credit for, I don't know, making the meal and cooking the groceries. He did it all. He built the team. He was the catalyst behind the Herschel Walker trade. He was the coach. He was the one who designed the defense that was unbelievable. He went out and got Norv Turner, the offensive genius. He was the reason Jerry Jones has all 3 Super Bowls. And I don't want to hear about the 3rd Super Bowl and Barry Switzer. I could have won the goddamn Super Bowl that 3rd year with the team that Jimmy Johnson put together. Okay. And if Jerry wasn't such an egotistical prick, he probably would have had at least 5 in the 90s. And the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s would be looking like the Patriots of the 2000s. But no, Jerry Jones had to be this tiny of a little man and fire Jimmy Johnson. And now, literally 30 years later, won't even put him in the Ring of Honor because he's still holding this grudge that people gave Jimmy Johnson more credit. 2 more questions for you, Aiden. Since that 3rd Super Bowl that Barry Switzer won, but really with Jimmy Johnson's team, how many Super Bowls have the Dallas Cowboys won?
0.
How many NFC Championship games have they even been to?
Also 0.
Maybe, I don't know, 1 + 1 = 2. Jerry, stop being a little fucking stupid old man. Put your ego aside for 2 seconds and put Jimmy Johnson where he belongs with his name in the ring in that goddamn stadium. Jimmy Johnson's my guy, right? That's the team I grew up with.
Uh-huh.
I just can't imagine, like, that's like me and you making it to the Radio Hall of Fame. And then you and me, the podcast goes off, we make millions of dollars, and then you being like, yeah, no, Kevin didn't do anything. It was all me.
It was all me. I'm putting Vince
like
in the Hall of Fame.
You doing that. If you were watching on YouTube,
I was going to say, for the people on Spotify and Apple, I'm like, what? It's just playing out. He just literally.
That's just where I'm at. I'm so sick of the clown show. Everybody, every time he brings it up, he gets mad. But then a couple years ago, when Jimmy was going into the Hall of Fame, they sat on the set at Fox, and Jerry said, "I'm gonna yes." They asked him flat out, "You're gonna put him in the Ring of Honor?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's gonna happen." And we're like 3 years later, 4 years later, and we're still sitting here twiddling our thumbs. But DeMarcus Ware's going in, who played, I don't know, like 20 years after Jimmy coached.
Hubris has killed every great ruler throughout the history of time.
Yep.
It's at the end of every great, we'll say ownership run because it's Jerry Jones' an ownership run, but pretty much every dictator, every military ruler, back to like the Greek and Roman times, hubris has always killed the great rulers of this time. And it'll inevitably come for Jerry Jones, who you can't force him out, but there'll come a time where I think we're getting close with you guys, the Cowboys fans, where it's been over 2 decades of not having success. And I sent you that tweet this week that it's been my take for the Cowboys that maybe they are America's team, where it's just like basking on the laurels from years past. And what have you done for me lately? Not quite much, but you still act as if you have done something lately. There's nothing to show for it, and people have passed you by. And in this case, franchises have passed you by. And that starts and ends with Jerry Jones.
You know what? You just came up with a video that I want us to make with Vince.
Okay.
Did you watch the show, The Newsroom?
The Newsroom? No.
Oh, the beginning of the whole show, the guy does a spiel. He does, and they ask him, why America is the greatest country in the world. And he goes on this whole tirade. He goes, it isn't. It's not the greatest country in the world anymore. And he goes over this whole tirade. But I think we should dub it over of, tell me why the Dallas Cowboys are the greatest team. And then somebody they're not. They're just they're not what they think you are.
We could definitely do a spoof of that, and I'd be very much willing to help.
All right, I'm going to send you
my take.
It's actually a phenomenal
sometimes
clip.
That they are America's team in all of the ways that America thinks it's great, and it probably is not. It needs to improve.
All right, the last thing I'm going to leave you with this, and this is my prediction with the whole thing, and it's a very sad prediction. I think Jerry Jones is going to put both Tony Romo and Jason Garrett in the Ring of Honor before he puts Jimmy Johnson in.
He'll probably put Zeke in the Ring of Honor before he puts Jimmy Johnson.
That too. Can you imagine him putting Jason Garrett in before Jimmy Johnson? Or
Jason
putting Jason Garrett in at all?
I'll put Jason Witten in before.
Mm-hmm.
That's another one.
Yep.
There's a lot of guys coming up before Jimmy Johnson does. Did you also see, I didn't know if this report was true. I was trying to figure it out. They're doing another Netflix documentary, but this one's on Jerry Jones, and they paid $50 million.
Apparently, yeah.
That's awesome, because I'm sure it'll tell all of the highs and the lows. There will be no stone unturned. I'm sure it won't be just a giant PR campaign that makes Jerry Jones look like the greatest owner of his time and has never hit a rough patch ever.
Never. Oh, continue with Jerry Jones. And this is actually pretty funny. Did you see the whole airplane thing in Seattle with the Cowboys?
Oh, when the players went up in the airplane?
Yeah, Brandon Cooks. And I was sitting there. Brandon Cooks flew the plane with Stephon Gilmore and Michael Parsons. And I was sitting here. I'm like, yeah, I don't love that at all. And somebody asked Jerry about it afterwards. He's like, yeah, if I knew that was a thing, yeah, I would have grounded that plane.
That's some real Succession shit to be like, I'm just going to ground the plane.
He's like, with,
I'm a billionaire.
I don't need that. Like literally 3 of the biggest parts of my team in a Cessna flying over with an NFL player flying the plane.
It's like the State of the Union when they hold people back, so not all the leaders of our country are in the same room at the same time in case anything goes wrong.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Don't put your whole team captains in one airplane.
You know what? That's also something I would love to do that we should do and find this out of like
get our pilot's license.
Playing that would love to. There's actually an airport right by me, but find out like NFL players. So many of them have such cool, unique hobbies. Like Brandon Cooks flies planes. Like, how would you ever expect that? And we should list like a hobby and like 4 names under them and guess who it is.
That would actually be a good segment. That is, yeah, I would definitely do that. Brandon Cooks was flying when Malcolm Jenkins took his fucking head off in the Super Bowl. That's probably the inspiration he had to take into the air. But yeah, that would be a really cool segment to guess people's hobbies.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll have Vince set it up if he makes it back from North Carolina. But
I've seen
that was my 10-minute diatribe.
Oh, I could go on ownership in the Philadelphia area because Josh Harris is just the worst. I will spend 10 seconds on it because it's nothing that I haven't said before. Commanders fans were so happy that they were getting rid of Dan Snyder. I'm like, you did got rid of Dan Snyder, who's going to the 7th layer of hell, and you replaced him with somebody who's probably going to the 6th. It did not get much better, and you guys are going to find that out very quickly.
A guy that literally owns a hockey team in New Jersey, a basketball team in Philadelphia, and a football team in Washington, all basically rivals of each other.
Nothing says 1 foot out the door quite like that.
Yep.
And you can see it on the ice, the court, and pretty soon you'll see it on the field. But, like in this situation, like I said, there probably won't be sexual harassment and people taking pictures of the cheerleaders. So this is a step up. Not much, but it is.
Maybe the stands won't fall on Jalen Hurts this season.
That would also be ideal, and not have sewage leak on people. If we could just get out like 1 step above.
They may have a quarterback. I always liked Sam Howell in college. If he was going to be a top 5 pick before his last season at North Carolina, so we'll see.
I also like Sam Howell. I think that was another team that I would bet on all the time, which is what I do with Notre Dame's quarterback now, who's Wake Forest's quarterback. I pretty much just blindly bet the over when they play. So I'll probably be doing that for both Notre Dame and Drake May. He'll be awesome this year.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry that this is turning into college football. Jonathan Taylor went to Wisconsin. We can talk about that.
Did you see what your guy Sam Hartman did for the entire Notre Dame team this week?
No.
So he got a deal with Beats headphones, and he stood up in front of the team, and he's like, I know we got a long flight to Ireland, guys, so I had Beats hook it up, and he got every player like gold, the same as the colors of their helmet. Beats for it's awesome.
I deserve one of those headphones for the amount I've rooted for that kid over the past 2 years.
Oh, God. All right. You mentioned Jonathan Taylor. I think that's a good place to actually start talking about football because it's pretty much the biggest buzz right now in the NFL, right? The Colts superstar was granted permission to seek a trade, yet he was still out at practice, joint practice with the Eagles this week. So there have been multiple teams with reports that have made actual offers and talked to the Colts. I believe the Eagles have been one of them. Yes, no, maybe so.
I've heard a report. I don't know if I trust the sourcing on it, but I have heard that the Eagles were one of the teams. And I mean, that could mean that they walked across the sideline during joint practices and said, hey, I heard Jonathan Taylor's available. So it might not mean much. They could have literally had the discussions and the fact that they practiced together, and it probably came up when they were on the same field.
Or the the Colts GM was probably like, hey, you see that guy out there? What would you give him for me?
Yeah.
And then Howie's like, I don't know, a fifth and Rashad Penny.
Probably. And it was probably in one of the many fights that they had at joint practices. They're like, whoa, we're trying to trade that guy. Don't hit him. Hit anybody else. Don't hit him.
Can you imagine? That's like, I know some baseball players it's happened where they get traded during a series and they literally just walk from one dugout to the other. Can you imagine if that happened during joint practice?
Okay, so I was watching a clip today. Randy Johnson got traded from the Diamondbacks to the Giants mid-game.
Yep.
In the same game, a fight happens. So he's like in between two teams and they're fighting each other, which would have been exactly what happened if the Eagles traded for Jonathan Taylor this week. They would have been fighting on the field, and then he'd be walking across the field and entering the Eagles locker room, which would have been hilarious. I would have done it just for that. It would have been the theatrics that would have made the trade.
Can you imagine the power of a Taylor Swift backfield in Philadelphia?
When I was at the concert at Lincoln Financial Field, it was louder than any Eagles game I've ever been to. So I would absolutely be all in on a Taylor Swift backfield, 1,000%.
That would be a problem. I mean, the Eagles, I believe, they already are a problem.
Yeah.
If they add a running back like him with the home run ability that he has, he doesn't even have to lead the league in rushing Jonathan Taylor in that offense either. He could just be a step above what he was last year, and it's a problem.
Yeah, we would be the last great American dynasty if that happened. I don't think it will.
No.
But it would be fun.
It would be.
That's how I base most of my decisions in life, which is how we've gotten here. It wouldn't be a good idea, but it would be fun. Do it. You know that thing on like TikTok is like, there's always that one, do it for the plot friend. I think Howie Roseman is the do it for the plot friend where he's like, well, he's available. I might as well. AJ Brown, you're not going to resign him. I'll do it. Who cares? DeAndre Swift, you're not going to use him. Fuck it. Why not? There's another Georgia player available. That'd be kind of funny for the plot if we kept taking Georgia kids. That's him. He's for the plot friend.
It would be a problem. Also talking about the Cowboys, people have been mentioning them, but it's a no for me, dog. I mean, there's no reason. I don't want to be throwing $30 million at my running back room. There's no reason.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Especially when we have Deuce Vaughn, who's a future Hall of Famer. We've already all seen it.
He is the next Darren Sproles, and I am actually convinced of that now. It's a 2 preseason game.
I'm all about it.
Then it'll be week 3, and we'll be like, he'll get depleted, and we'll be like, oh, yeah, that's why the small running backs don't work so well.
They literally reports, like, he's listed as 5'5", and, like, reporters and coaches are like, yeah, I don't even think he's that tall.
I think it works, though.
It
works because you can't see him. I think the weight, like, he can't blitz pick up.
No. But he's stocky. He's like, everybody says he's like as thick as an oak tree. And he's been, his dad was a coach. His dad's a scout now. He's been playing ball his whole life. So, I was extremely pumped. I wanted him. I drafted him all the time in my mock draft. So,
oh, yeah.
And where they got him, I think if he was 5'9", 6 foot, he would have been drafted in the first or second round with the skill set that he has. So
the value for where you got him, this is like all that comes in my brain now since it's fantasy season, is like value of where you draft guys. But the value of where you got him, can't beat it. Why not go for it? And what was it, 6th round? Who cares?
Yep.
Kenny Gainwell, 5th round. And he will probably, this is hilarious. He is going to be our starting running back. We've been talking about this for months. We don't have much going on in our brains, but we know running back workload when it comes to our two teams. There's not much going on, but that is.
Yep. And that reminds me too, I'm getting older. I have a kid now. I've done basically 0 fantasy prep. So my draft for my one league is on Tuesday the 5th. So I think we should get on here together and draft together. And if I win anything, I will split the money with you.
Yes. And if you win, you'll buy a new microphone for this podcast.
Exactly.
Done. Or you could do that soon.
Done and done. So let's build a winner, and then we'll win it all. But back to Jonathan Taylor, I was thinking of some teams. I've heard the Colts actually seriously may be in on it. That would be an issue.
Who?
Oh, I'm sorry. The Colts. The Chiefs.
Oh, yeah. Again, but it's like, why? It's the same like logic as the Eagles. It's like, why not? But I feel like they've got to figure out the Chris Jones thing first. right?
Yes, 100%. A team that, if they can do it, everybody's been saying they need a running back, right? Is the Bills. No?
Mm-hmm. I would do it if I were them. Same logic applies. Eagles, Hurts, backfield with Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. You're at the 5-yard line. Best of luck.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you. And then I've also thought about the Miami Dolphins, right? That's just another team. I think they were in on Dalvin Cook. So why not explore the Jonathan Taylor? And beyond that, it's like, okay, where would he go, right? He's not going to go to the Jets.
Yep.
Giants don't need him.
Nope.
Dallas. We
Would be
said
fun,
Philly.
though. Philly's a maybe. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not totally out. I just think that there's positions right now, like linebacker and safety, where I don't know how secure they feel. I think that they're going to end up being secure at safety with Blankenship and Sidney Brown. I think they found 2 diamonds in the rough, but they have no depth beyond that. So I feel like they're saving money. There's some positions they're not totally sold on. And looking down the line, like there's positions they're going to have to spend money on. Like Lane Johnson could retire, Kelsey could retire, Fletcher Cox could retire. All of a sudden, that's a lot of money that you need to spend on other positions. So they're a maybe. The talent would be obscene. Financially, I don't know if it works.
You said linebacker, didn't you just get Miles Jack?
We did, but he said he wanted to be a plumber or something like that.
Interesting. I thought he was playing for the Super Bowl champs, and then a week later he decided to go back to trade school.
I'll tell you what, he had a lot of good quotes in his 1 week that he spent here.
What a whack. Can you imagine? Just like that knee just must be shot. He just,
UCLA, though, he was fun to watch. There's no running.
He was. I mean, if he didn't have that knee issue, he was a top 3 pick in that draft.
He did. Yeah, I'm sure he made a good amount of money that he does not need to be a plumber.
Said he made $27 million from the Jaguars.
There you go. I think I could rest easily.
I think I could be a plumber after that. Actually, no, I would not.
No.
I wouldn't even fix my own plumbing in my house.
I know somebody I went to college with. Their dad is a plumber. Big house.
Oh yeah. The trades make a lot of money.
You don't have student debt.
Those HVAC AC people.
Oh yeah.
Money. My father-in-law.
Is that what he does? He's HVAC?
No, he's appliance repair.
Oh, even better.
Big one. Yep.
I wish I had a skill.
I know. I have no skill.
My skill is this. Yeah.
Talking to a microphone. Yep.
Talking about running.
Anybody that is willing to pay lots of money, we're here.
Yeah. We would also like a big house. We possess no skills aside from this. Will someone pay us?
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know when this gets resolved. I think it needs to get resolved, obviously, sooner rather than later.
Literally by Tuesday.
Literally.
But that was the good deadline they gave.
I don't know. I just hope he doesn't end up, maybe a team like Carolina swoops in out of nowhere.
That again is the team. We mentioned this with someone before. It's like, actually, we mentioned with the Colts when we were like, why not spend the money? You have a rookie quarterback. Same logic applies to the Panthers. You have a rookie quarterback. He's going to get killed behind that offensive line. At least alleviate some of it and give him a running back. Jeez.
If I'm Anthony Richards, I'm like, you're not getting rid of that dude.
I guess the problem with honestly, if you're Anthony Richardson, the problem with the Panthers would be that they gave up everything to go up to get Bryce Young and trade up with the Bears. So maybe the Bears make the trade because they have 1 million picks. Guess who has 3 picks in the top 2 rounds next year?
Who's that?
That would be the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow, that's weird. Weren't they in the Super Bowl this past year?
They were.
How'd that happen?
They won at 2 if it weren't for those meddling kids in that fucking grass. Did you see that the Saints owner was like, I don't want to trade with them anymore?
Yes, which good for him.
We talked about that. We were going to be like, the trades are going so well that people just won't trade with us.
Yep.
And that's where it's headed.
That's where it should be.
Yeah. Damn it.
Speaking of giving up the house for everything, Trey Lance. So Sam Darnold was announced to be the backup, and now Trey Lance is technically number 3, and the 49ers are trying to listen to offers. So if you remember, they gave up 3 first-round picks to draft Trey Lance 3rd overall.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to these names of the 10 players drafted after Trey Lance. Ready? Kyle Pitts.
Be great if we weren't on the Falcons. Could you
Jamar
imagine if we
Chase.
were 49ers?
Jamar Chase.
Unreal.
Would you be interested in him?
Yeah. Good.
Jalen Waddle.
Great.
Peeny Swell.
Our guy.
J.C. Horn.
Also our guy. We love this whole draft.
Patrick Surtain.
Another. Also our guy.
Devontae Smith.
I know him.
Justin Fields.
Maybe. Better
Micah
than Jalen
Parsons.
according to some. Michael Parsons, that would have been ideal across from a Bosa brother.
And Rashawn Slater.
Also pretty good.
I don't know. That's a disaster.
Here's a red flag. If you give up 3 first-round picks to move up to 3 and you don't know who you want, it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
It's like if you were out in public and you approached a group of girls and you didn't know who you wanted to talk to, you're just like, hey, how are you? Like, it probably wouldn't go well.
And then you went for the guy from North Dakota State.
Hey, I honestly feel bad for this kid. You couldn't get a string of worse luck because you think about it. He played at Division 1A, whatever they call it.
Yep.
So his season got canceled by a global pandemic. They scheduled 1 game in the spring just to showcase him. Like that was the only reason they played, just to get him drafted. He plays, gets drafted, sits for a year, gets to play, immediately compound fractures his leg. Like you could not have worse luck than sitting behind a quarterback and then getting to play, season canceled, finally getting to play again, broken leg. What?
And you didn't add and then have Mr. Irrelevant take the team to the NFC Championship game.
It's a miracle that the 49ers are still have the infrastructure they do as a good team after just blowing all of their draft capital on a kid who's played 1 showcase game and 3 NFL games in the past 4 years.
While literally having the worst fan base in the NFL.
I love them. They're the worst, and I love it. The biggest hypocrites, the biggest losers, worst radio shows, everything about it. We're nice people. We give ovations now. He had another home run.
Also, Dallas Cowboys radio hosts, who we are friends with, hate the 49ers media and their fans more than anything in the world, too, because when the Cowboys were playing them in the playoffs, their fans were literally finding pictures of the radio host's kids and like threatening them online.
That is so weird.
It's so weird.
Dallas radio is not hostile like Philly radio is. Like if you're, like, I know you love Brian Broaddus, like you and was it like Jeff Kavanaugh?
Yeah,
like the nicest guys who aren't even hostile. Like they don't even talk about other teams. You know, they're critical of their own team. What are you finding your kids for? It's so weird.
Hilarious. It's hilarious.
That's just they're weird, and the radio hosts that I see online go viral. Oof, it is a little cringe, but I can't wait for December 3rd. That'll be a party.
Speaking of cringe, Sam Williams,
not good.
Dallas Cowboys defensive lineman here, arrested on Sunday for a controlled substance and a weapon in his car. I feel like in Texas you can just have a gun whenever, wherever you want, right?
That was the impression that I was given.
But I think it's the quote unquote controlled substance that adds the issue. And now it's coming out that it was literally like a weed pen. So also Jerry doesn't have all these cops on the payroll in Frisco, Texas, where the star is.
I'll tell you what, though, that is a very Texas thing for like gun. You're off the hook. Weed pen. You're going to jail, pal. That's where we draw the line.
Like he's got a gun. It's okay. He said the word marijuana. Lock him up.
Lock him up.
It's unbelievable. So we'll see what happens with the misconduct policy. He could face a suspension or a fine. I'm sure. I don't know. It'll probably be like he'll get a 4-game suspension and they'll get it down to like 3. That's my guess.
I was curious if he was gonna receive any suspension at all. I feel like
I hope not.
Because I don't know what the charges are in Texas. Like you said, the gun laws are a little bit different. You can kind of pretty much just have a gun and do whatever with it. That seems to be that is literally
did something lead to it? Like Was it just a random, like that's what we don't know yet. Was it just a random traffic stop and they saw the gun or smelled the weed, or was he driving erratically and that's why they put, we don't know all the facts, and that's, I don't want to talk to it, but it's just, I mean, if you lose him for the first 3 games too, I mean, you need a guy like him chasing Aaron Rodgers in game 2, right? I mean, he's an impact player. We've seen what he can do off the edge with his speed. So we'll see. I mean, but drafting him out of Ole Miss, there was question marks right from the beginning with his conduct, and he actually was in one of the ones in the fight last week with the Cowboys infighting, and he was the one with his helmet off, like telling the offensive line to take the pads off and actually really fight. It's like, okay, bud, relax. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But the Cowboys need him.
This is related and unrelated. One time I was at Buffalo Wild Wings and the waiter gave me the check and he gave us a pen to, fill it out and leave the tip, except it wasn't a pen with ink. It was a weed pen. And when he came back, I felt so bad because he was so petrified and embarrassed. And we're like, it's cool, man. We thought it was funny, but it was just like hilarious. Like his face, it looked like he saw a million demons at once.
You were like, huh.
I picked it up and I'm like, that's not a pen.
This is not good. I mean, this could help me, but it just doesn't help me in this situation.
It's not gonna help me leave a tip for you.
Thank you for the tip, though.
Thank you for the tip.
I felt that's so hilarious. So we'll see what happens with him. Not great news, and it just leads to that whole narrative now. It's like old Cowboys, even so.
Well, I saw a thing that the Broncos are like the team that's got arrested the most since like 2000 or 2010, which I feel like that's like a surprising team to have that happen. But oh well, yeah. Anytime the Cowboys are in the headlines, it's good for Jerry Jones and bad for everybody else.
Bad for my psyche.
That too.
But we're one game closer, Aiden. I know you and I talked about this too. So the Eagles really aren't playing any of their starters. No. Cowboys aren't playing any of their starters. We saw the 2 devastating ACL injuries that the Cowboys had against Seattle, both rookies, right? John Stevens, the tight end, who I actually was talking about with Kyle Yeomans last week when he was on, because he sprung on the scene and was pushing to make this roster. He was a undrafted rookie, changed from wide receiver to tight end. He's been balling out, had a touchdown, unfortunately tore his ACL. And then Demarion Overshone, who was the 3rd-round pick linebacker from Texas, who was all over the field, right? He actually led the team in the pregame speech week 1 in the preseason. You never see that from rookies. He was poised to make a huge impact. He goes down with a torn ACL. Now they're trying to figure out, is Marquise Bell going to fit in there? So this just leads to the fact of not wanting to play high-profile starters in these games. I don't think there's any reason. Dak Prescott's not playing. Jalen Hurts is not playing. I posed it on Birds vs. Boys. If they should play any snaps, I think you and I are in agreement that no, they
won't play a single snap. What the Eagles do, instead of playing in the preseason game, they have these joint practices leading up to the game. So they'll scrimmage against each other, and it's a bit more of a controlled setting out on the practice fields. I say controlled loosely because they then proceeded to get into multiple fights, but you can see the line of logic of trying to practice against each other and then rest in the game.
Yep. So I'm completely fine with it. People are like, oh, well, Dak, new offense, he might be rusty. If you forget 2 years ago, he was coming off the broken leg, and then he had the lat injury during camp, didn't take a snap in the preseason, and then basically threw for 500 yards the opening game against Tampa Bay. So
also, if you need 2 series in a preseason game for Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb to get their timing right,
we have a problem.
Over. The season's already over.
Yeah.
If you need those preseason snaps to get your timing, then you don't, because it's not going to happen. So they're in good shape. There's no point in getting anybody injured in a setting like that. Fill out your depth, and we'll just see you at September, 10th, 11th?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's here.
It's here.
It's here, and I'm here for it. That's all I really have about the Cowboys. Anything last pressing that you want to talk about the Eagles before heading into the last preseason game?
It's an Eagles thing and just a league thing in general. There seems to be like a fight in every single joint practice.
Yep.
It's not the Eagles were just in one, and I want to make one comment on it, but I feel like every single team has been in a fight.
Yep.
Is it me or is it just like an update?
No, the Cowboys Cowboys didn't do any joint practices this year. They did do them last year and the year before, and there was always fights.
Yeah, I feel like it's been every single time I go online and there's joint practices, someone is in a giant brawl.
Remember last year the Bengals, they were swinging helmets?
Yeah. Mark Andrews tore the guy's labrum because he body slammed him this year. That's crazy. But it's every single practice. I don't know what's
speaking of Mark Andrews, RIP to the Ravens preseason win streak.
I wish we could have topped it week 1. Couldn't do it. Streak lives on. Commanders, though, they've got a great owner and things are already looking up. They won a preseason game. That was so awkward. The fight thing, just last thing on the Eagles. It couldn't have played out more predictably than how it did with Jalen Carter blowing up an offensive lineman, getting to the quarterback, trying to strip it. The Colts taking offense to that, going after him. And then Derek Barnett jumping in after the play and attacking the quarterback, which would have been a penalty in the game. Yeah. So that played out exactly how I thought it would go.
It's awesome.
I genuinely think, I don't know what the contract situation looks like, but I'm sure they would love to move off of him.
Oh,
I don't know if they have the depth to do it, but the way Nolan Smith has looked, I don't know where Derek Barnett's place is. It's Barnett, it's Sweat. When Reddick's back, it's him, obviously, and it's Brandon Graham. That's the 4 that'll rotate through. The 5th is Barnett.
Yep.
And I don't know why, I don't know what they'd want with him at this point.
I mean, if you can get anything for him, and like you said, you need linebacker depth.
Yeah.
If you could flip him for a wily old veteran that can fill in here and there in linebacker and add depth, why not?
I know. Yeah. Or even just, sign another defensive end and just, trade him for a pick and say, hey, he's got talent. It's just a fresh start situation and he's better off there and he'll get more playing time there. Like I don't foresee him getting a ton of playing time with the way it's shaping out because Nolan Smith he's Nolan Smith. So he hit the ground running or eating off the floor running. Wild quote. Some quotes, I'm just like, I know that you're going to be good. He was like, you ever been so hungry you want to eat off the floor? I'm like, I know that you're going to be good. Also, the way Kenny Gainwell, they interviewed him after he got cheap shotted in that practice and Kelsey came over and then also cheap shotted somebody. The way he was like, he said his whole answer about the practice. And at the end, he was like, and we whooped that ass. Yep. And the way he said it, I was like, they did, in fact, whoop that ass. I can tell by the way he said it.
Yep. He knew they did.
He knew it. That was a confident, we whooped their ass.
And last for me, speaking of Jalen Carter and defensive linemen, I'm going to throw Mozzie Smith in there. Can we stop on Twitter, just dissecting one rep of players and being like, yep, see, he got his ass. He got that ass whooped by 3 people and not realizing that he was eating up a triple team. Or with Mozzie Smith not realizing that, he's done some good and he's done some bad, but he's in the middle of a technique switch right now. The way he's playing is how they had him play at Michigan. That's what people are not getting. Yes, he's been slow off the ball, but it's because he is transitioning. He is not Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter was arguably the best player in the draft. Mozzie Smith was arguably at the end of the first round, a.k.a. really a second-round pick. So comparing them is not apples to apples, okay? Relax a little bit. Also, what Mozzie's there to do is eat space, which he's been doing, and help the other guys cook. He's not going to get you sacks up the middle. Let the dude learn, get a little better. He's played 2 preseason games. Breathe.
No. We want to overreact to every snap in preseason before he ever takes the field in a real game. That's our right.
Unbelievable.
What a week. That was great. And then the Jalen Carter clip where he takes on 3 offensive linemen and Nolan Smith in the backfield. Oh, man. That was great. Yeah. No, I'm just going to be mean to Mozzie Smith, even though we both liked him.
Oh, yeah. Literally. I was like, Nolan Smith, Mozzie Smith. Okay. Okay, let's see what happens, pick. I would have rather have had Nolan Smith, obviously. But,
yeah. I do think if they could do it again, don't you think they'd go Nolan and just be like, let's let him and Micah tee off?
Yeah, and Sam Williams and DeMarcus, because you could bump. I mean, yes, but they've had such an issue up the middle, right, with
True.
running games, and they get pressures, they get sacks. So I think that's their thinking. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not burying a dude's career after 2 preseason games. It's not happening, and he's not Taco Charlton. So we shall see. And that's everybody's fear. They just see the Michigan helmet, the defensive lineman, first round pick, and not performing in the first 2 preseason games, and it's like it's the Vietnam dog meme all over again.
You know what I love about this? In this analogy, Nolan Smith is TJ Watt. So
Yes,
yeah,
literally.
let's do that.
Yep, there you go. All right. Tell the people how to follow us, Aiden. I'm getting out of here. I need to finish my beer.
Okay. You can follow us. First of all, subscribe on YouTube, Birds vs. Boys Pod. The numbers have been fantastic. So thank you. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify. Spotify is awesome because you can watch the video as well and leave the app, which is phenomenal. TikTok at Birds vs. Boys Pod. We were talking pre-show about bringing the rankings back for this year, and our preseason rankings are coming up that we do every year, our preseason predictions. So that'll be great. Follow us on Twitter. We've had some stuff popping up there at Birds vs. Boys Pod. And Instagram is where you can find all of the clips from the show that we post there. So if you want to see what we're talking about on the day's show, and then check it out on Instagram and hop over to YouTube to watch.
And we're so close. We are 19 away from 600 on YouTube. We got to hit this to 1,000, and we are 8 followers away from 2,000 on Twitter. So let's make these happen.
And we're closing in on 600,000 likes on TikTok. So bring the predictions back, and we'll be there.
We are back. So enjoy preseason week 3, the final preseason week. Then it's an off week, and then we got football.
Ooh, baby.
We are here. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will be back next week. Go Mozzie.
Go TJ Watt, aka Nolan Smith.